Well, hello, everybody. I'm here again with Mike Hamilton, but you know that because you're on Mike Hamilton's LinkedIn page, or you might be watching on YouTube. Who knows? Video just goes everywhere these days. Okay, so first we're going to talk about style because I know when people come to these, they're here for style tips. So we're going to talk about. So my style is Pacific Northwest sort of fleecy checkery thing. That's good style. The line, if you're ever live on something, you want to make sure the lines aren't too small because the camera doesn't like that and it'll jitter. No polka dots, no nothing like that. Also, you want to make sure you're not wearing white because if you're just wearing white, it sort of blows out the camera. And if you look at Mike's shoulders, it's a little, Mike.
Hey, you told me to wear solid colors. You did not specify what color.
I
Okay.
did.
I took the guidance I was given. All right. If you want to modify that, okay, you're going to have to go through a policy revision.
Marketing doesn't do that. Also, we're going to teach Mike about headroom. So when you're framing a shot, the headroom is the room between the top of your head and the top of the screen. If you look over at Mike, which way is Mike? Mike's that way. If you look over at Mike, see all that headroom? Mike, sit up. Get rid of the headroom. Hey, there you go. See?
No, it looks like my head is cut off.
Not to me, and not to the world.
Well, heads cut off is probably not the direction we want to go with this.
It's not. So for all of the people watching this, I think it's important for you to know these things for any interviews you might do. See, Mike?
Especially if you're going to do it with Jake.
Yeah. Wow. You gotta do it right to do it here. All right, man. So a couple of announcements before we get started. We'll pick on Mike some more in here. Today we are going to talk about Solarwinds and we are going to touch the third rail and talk about Parler. Before we do, a couple of announcements. Security awareness training, which we talked about last year, is every other year. Or it's every other year. It's every other week now.
It's not very effective that way, but that's how we do it.
I just correct for the way we look, not the way we talk. So every other week. And so the first one is this Friday, and I'm going to put a link in the chat here. And then next week, we're doing something really, really cool. We have a new member of the team, Elise Dennis. She is a big figure in the DEF CON crowd, and she's a new consultant on our team, and I've been working with her. She is just a super, super cool team member. And I was like, hey, want to do a webinar? And she said, absolutely. And so she's created this thing called Fishy Little Liars. And what she does is pretends to be somebody who's breaking into a system, being what do you call them, a fisher? Somebody who fishes, do you call them a fisher, Mike?
I guess, bad actor. I don't know, attacker.
Yeah. All right. So she pretends to be an attacker using fishing, and
I hate that word. That's stupid.
Okay. Or fisher?
Fisher. Okay.
I do. I hate it too, but we're going to use it for this. So anyway, she pretends to be a fisher, but like a really good one, and she will take you through how she would write an email to get into a system by using social engineering techniques, and it is going to be super cool. I'm going to I looked at her deck yesterday and was like, wow, this is some cool sh tea. So I'm going to put a link to that too. You really, people should register for that.
All right, you got link, but we might want to put a link to the awareness training in there too.
But I'm going to put a link to both in the chat here. And while I do that, Mike, PSA is out of the way. Everybody knows you're wearing the wrong shirt.
Mm-hmm.
In your headroom there.
By the way, you're going to tell Elise not to wear white? Or are you just hoping she's watching now?
I'm here to give advice to you.
Okay.
So now that the PSA is out of the way.
All right.
You want to talk about SolarWinds?
So new things about SolarWinds, kind of yes and no. So they say that they have identified the exact mechanism used by the compromise by reverse engineering the affected binaries, right? Okay, that doesn't. I mean, I read that article and it doesn't really give any new information. It says, oh, we figured out how this worked. When there was this other JetBrains company that kind of has been fingered as, potentially the source of this. There's no new information on that. And I actually think that was a little bit of a red herring to kind of deflect blame a little bit from SolarWinds now that they're going through a class action suit and shareholders are irritated and all those things are going on, right? But the more interesting thing I think that happened, and this is can't be confirmed, but sure looks this way. Somebody is out there advertising stolen source code for Microsoft and SolarWinds products.
Really?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not convinced that's genuine, but if it gets confirmed, this is what I thought would happen, right? And I think we talked about it here, that after the espionage value of the event had been exceeded, the spoils and possibly any remaining persistent access to compromised networks is going to get handed over to criminals. And that would cloud the attribution, the attempt to attribute this to an actor, which looks like we've already done. And it keeps stolen funds moving out of the US and into other countries that might be Russia and are probably Russia. So that happened. And it'll be interesting to find out if this is really legit stuff. Also, you may have heard about this Mimecast event.
Yeah.
So the email service provider Mimecast confirmed actors had compromised a certificate used by some customers to authenticate their products to Microsoft O365 Exchange web services, right? What they found was the tools and techniques used in this attack link these operators to those who targeted SolarWinds, right? There's a lot of commonality there. So all that goes to show that this event went a lot deeper than anyone imagined, and many shoes are likely to still drop. Microsoft is still writing blogs on how this was way outside the norms of what countries do to each other as spycraft, right? Espionage. So I think we can expect some public policy that's going to be focused on exactly that, norms. What is espionage and what is crime, and what is an act of war? So, I think probably very early into the Biden administration, this stuff is going to get addressed.
What guidance do you have for folks though?
Not much more than, I think what has come out a lot and is coming out fairly routinely, right? Watch the CISA bulletins that are coming out. Do the things you're supposed to be doing anyway. Keep your vulnerabilities patched, keep your applications up to date, monitor your networks for aberrational events. This should also be a real solid wake-up call about third-party security management, which I think is going to get a new set of teeth here pretty soon. That's the way the winds are blowing. That's the way the trends look. Pretty soon, it's going to be common to reject products that aren't confirmed that they are secure out of the box with some type of certification, with security management plans that keep them free of vulnerabilities and that are developed by companies that can demonstrate adequate security controls, right?
You mean the way you put my marketing vendors through a ringer?
Yeah, you betcha. That's what I live for, Jake. Precisely, right? Show me your high trust or your ISO certification, your SOC 2 Type 2 report, a third-party assessment conducted against a standard that we recognize, or fill out this awful questionnaire in order of preference, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to get real militant about that.
It's funny you bring this up. Just this week, one of the CMOs who I'm friends with, who I follow on LinkedIn, posted about, isn't it crazy that the sales cycle doesn't end when you make the sale, that now there are all these things that have to happen after the sales cycle is over, like security. Mm-hmm. And, I posted back, but isn't that a good thing? Because, if the bad dudes get in through marketing, that's bad for marketing. So anyway,
I don't know how things get worse for marketing, but okay.
We could be wearing white shirts and have too much headroom. So I hate to say it, but that giant SolarWinds event is last month's news.
Yeah.
News cycle's moving on. Nobody wants to talk about your white shirt anymore. What else is
Good.
going on?
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk about Parler. So Parler is a topic I think a lot of people are thinking about from either the perspective of rage or Schadenfreude. I think we talked here last week about the fact that someone had figured out how to bypass phone and email verification, so you could sign up accounts and you would never get an email to verify that you actually own that email account. And so they set up accounts and then figured out how to reset the password on admin accounts, created hundreds of other admin accounts, and siphoned off the entire data set, including videos, deleted posts, everything. That wasn't quite right. New information from the researcher that did this. Apparently, there was just a simple exposed API used to pull everything out. It was much simpler than was first reported. And Parler's security is apparently much worse than was first reported. So, that's the new news there.
So where does that go?
You mean the stuff that they're pulling out there?
Where's all the stuff going now?
It's being archived in a couple of places and being made available for, apparently there's like 70 terabytes of stuff. And it's being made available for law enforcement. And I think importantly, crowdsourcing the identities of people on video in the insurrection at the Capitol. Okay. So, the crowdsourcing is pretty vigorous right now, but I don't think that's what's going to get people caught. Like we talked about last week, if you were in that building with a phone, you're caught, you're done. I think with all of the sleight of hand, trying to pin this on Antifa agitators or whoever, opinions and accusations do not matter because they're going to round everyone up that was in the building, and we're just going to find out what the data have to say, right? It's, your opinion doesn't matter because we have evidence, we have data, and we're just going to find out.
So, let's flip over to the censorship aspect of this. There's on one side, it's, is big tech censoring Parler.
Mm-hmm.
On the other, AWS, made its complaints to Parler public, and it includes AWS, even had a meeting with Parler in the beginning of January, giving them 100 things they had to fix, including a, death threat to Stacey Abrams, a death threat to Nancy Pelosi, a death threat to a transgender individual. And Parler's response was, we have a backlog of more than 20,000 things, and we're going to try to do volunteer moderation, which, so, when we think about, censoring a certain viewpoint, one of the things that folks on one side believe is that big tech is censoring a specific viewpoint. On the other is these are that people are saying things that you just can't say, that should not be allowed. Where do you fall on that?
Well, I think it's a tough argument to make that the free service you're giving me is my right, and I can use it however I want. That has never been true. Okay, I mean, setting aside the free part of these services, and we all know they're not really free. They're doing all the creepy tracking to make sure that marketing people have lots of data to use. Okay, that's how they make their money, right? But no shirt, no shoes, no service. Everyone has seen that sign. Businesses are allowed to create policy. If a bakery doesn't want to service gay couples, I think they're stuck in the 19th century, but that is their prerogative as validated by the Supreme Court, right? So, companies are allowed to have policies that specify behavioral expectations of their customer base. Again, especially when the service is free. And frankly, if you violate policy and they've told you this will be the penalty, I don't know why this is being called censorship. I think the effect is, that voices feel they're being squashed, But frankly, all you got to do is go somewhere else, keep talking. Nobody's keeping you from saying what you're saying. They're providing a service for you to use, and if policies aren't met, they revoke access to the service. No shirt, no shoes, no service.
You forgot no mask.
Oh yeah,
You
no
know,
matter.
but this is all bringing that Section 230 debate up again.
Yeah.
You know, the Communication Decency Act, obviously.
Mhm.
When AWS stopped servicing Parler, it seemed to bring that right up again.
Mhm. Well, I mean, the president was personally affected here when Twitter threw him off, right? So he's been threatening to do this before, tried to veto an omnibus budget bill because of it, and is probably going to take action through executive order. I don't think that's going to turn out the way he thinks. If you remove the protections for companies based on what their users post in public, the only thing those companies can do is clamp down further on what's allowed so that they don't get sued. So, be careful what you wish for, because they're going to get real nervous about what their users are saying in public, and it's just going to tighten down even more. Also, go back to Parler for just a second. Let me just say that taking Parler offline, AWS, you destroy the best surveillance tool the FBI ever had, and that is a pity.
Yeah. I mean, that they're, that is a big thing, right? Is I know folks in the, in the Intel community, actually, let's go here, which is the idea that the Capitol Police and whoever didn't know that there were plans to break into the Capitol meant they just weren't reading the post that anybody on Parler could read.
Mhm.
I'll tell everybody I have an account on Parler, and I read all things. I read other what is it, other 98 on the left, or the 98% on the left, and I read Breitbart on the right, and I have an account on Parler, and I have an account on left-wing stuff as well. And I mean, that stuff was obvious. That stuff was absolutely obvious. So yeah, I mean, in some ways now that goes underground or goes to 8chan or to Gab,
Right.
or wherever, right? But it's not like it's not like it goes away. All right, so we're running out of time.
Yep. I gotta go.
And you do need to change your shirt. So how do you want to bring this one home?
So, let's stay on Parler for a second. So there was a funny quote from the founder of the Pirate Bay. So the Pirate Bay is the most censored website in the world. Was started by kids, and it's run by people with drug and alcohol problems. Okay, it's a trading place for stolen media, cracked software, other dark aspects of the internet, and it's been up for 20 years. The quote from the founder is, "Parler and Gab have all the money around, but no skills or mindset. Embarrassing."
I have, what, right before this started, I saw something that I just have to share with everybody because I just think it's hilarious. So, this was the correction of the day. It's from a CNN article, and I'm going to read everybody the correction. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Correction. A previous version of this story misstated that Representative Ted Lieu grabbed a crowbar before leaving his office. He grabbed a Pro-Bar energy bar.
Oh. I see how you could confuse those things.
Yeah, indeed. I'm actually curious, like, why the person who wrote the original article on CNN thought that Ted Lieu had a crowbar in his office. Right. Okay, that's not really cybery, but it was funny.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Have a good one. The links are in the chat there to Fishy Little Liars and to the security awareness training. Send everyone to the security awareness training, and folks who really want to go deep into fishers should go to Fishy Little Liars. Mm-hmm. All right. Talk to y'all later. Mike, change your shirt. Have a good day. Bye.
No, bye.